Hey, it's Renita, producer of That's a Doobie podcast. On this podcast, we pride ourselves in being a safe, open, and respectful space for all our guests. That's how we build our cannabis community. So, before we jump into this episode, we gotta issue a trigger warning because our host Amari Jalan and special guest Mark are gonna have a brutally honest and open conversation. Mark is a writer, entrepreneur, and local Illinois resident who left New Jersey after living most of his youth suffering in silence at the hands of his abusive stepfather, who also just happened to be a cop. Mark touches on how cannabis helped him endure his suffering and later helped him cope with complex PTSD. Now, this episode does get dark and heavy, but we hope it encourages anyone who may be going through their own suffering to try professional help. Maybe it'll be helpful like it was for Mark. All right, family, I think y'all need to spark up your doobies for this one because listener discretion is advised. Here we go.
Hey, what's up, Mark? How you doing?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Hey, so it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you virtually, yeah.
So this is a wealth of information that I'm looking to learn from you, man. So I'm gonna enjoy this conversation.
Okay. Well, I can just start out by telling you, everybody listen, my name's Mark Anderson. I've got this website, officerdowney.com, and I've had it since 2015. And I also have a magazine, and I do giveaways, and I have a bunch of education, and I got plans for some other stuff coming up with it, in the next year. So, yeah.
All right, so you it's a career change. Where you mind if I ask? What did you do before?
I was the last thing I did was project management. But my core thing is writing. That's what I've done most of my professional career. But yeah, project management. I worked for a consulting firm, and my expertise was training development.
Okay. So what was the reason that you started your website?
Well, that's kind of a little bit of a long story, but I'll try and make it as quick as I can.
Take your time, man.
Because it's so connected to my life in a weird way. So it's difficult for me. I've never talked about this publicly, and I've only talked about PTSD with a few people in my life. My wife, and so anybody out there who has PTSD, it's very difficult to talk about this stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, even Omar, even when I'm talking to you now, as I'm about to talk, and I'm saying this because I want to verbalize this stuff because it's real. Like, even as I'm starting to talk to you about this, my palms are starting to sweat. My heart's starting to race. I'm starting to sweat up here.
Wow. My
heart's beating. My chest is getting tighter. This is what happens when people talk about this stuff. I can do this because I did it. I've been going to therapy for about 3 years now for complex PTSD. So I can talk through this stuff pretty okay. But it takes a lot of time before you can get to the point where you can talk about this stuff. But anyway, when I was a kid, my real father died when I was, my real father and my mother divorced when I was very young, 5 years old. My dad was just a high school teacher. We were very working class. My dad rented a house. We're very working class. And they got divorced when I was about 5. Long story short, my mom met this guy, and he happened to be a cop. And she ended up marrying this guy, or at least dating him. And from the time he entered our lives until I was from the age of about 10 years old, which would have been like right around the mid-1970s for me, till about the age of 18, which was about 1985-ish. This guy abused us horribly. This New York State trooper. He was a New York State trooper. He's a police officer.
Wow.
And it was strange. My mother, at the time I didn't understand why my mother would do such a thing. Let this guy into our home. Yeah. But in hindsight, of course, I'm a young kid. In hindsight, yeah, she was fucking nuts. She was mentally ill, and she was recreating a cycle of abuse. She was abused, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I guess I want to say right here, though.
Wow.
The last thing I want this to be, this story, is a crybaby Oprah Winfrey Book of the Month Club, confessional. because that's not what this is about. It really isn't. It's about educating people, and don't feel sorry for me. I know people, people have had it so much worse than what I'm about to say. But I have to bring up some of these details so people understand what I'm trying to get at here. Okay. So anyway, to make a very long story short, in short order, this guy, he became an animal. Now I had one older brother, a couple years older, younger brother, a couple years younger. And my mother got pregnant with this guy after about 6 months while they were still dating. But even within the first week, highly abusive, he started physically destroying all of my mother's property. She earned a living in real estate. We went from being very working class to very upper middle class. And, he destroyed everything piece by piece, literally every single object we had in the home. And after about a month, he started physically beating us. And my mother got pregnant. He threw her down the stairs when she was pregnant and broke her arm.
Wow.
But his biggest thing was, and this is hard for me to say, but his biggest fetish was, first of all, he never said a word to me the whole time that he was in our house for 10 years. Not one word. And I'm not exaggerating, Omari. Think about that.
Right. So that's emotional with the physical.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't imagine being in a house with an adult that does not speak to me for 10 years.
And he wore a gun in the house 24/7. In the back, in the small of his back, and he had another one in the sock, and he used to walk around the house 24/7 with those guns.
So he definitely had issues too.
Oh, he was insane. And one of his biggest fetishes was choking me until I passed out. So what he liked to do was simulate killing somebody.
Whoa.
So he would constantly simulate killing me for about 8 years of my life. It's pretty difficult. And he did this to all of our family members, He used to say the word nigger all the time. Excuse my language. He would.
No problem.
He would tell stories about one time how he pulled a black guy over who was drunk. I heard this when I was sleeping one night. He dragged him out of the car and threw him down and jumped on his back and paralyzed him for life. And that kind of stuff I heard a lot. And so anytime I hear a story about police abuse or some black guy getting killed by a cop, you don't have to convince me of anything. And
wow.
So it was crazy. That was a tough childhood.
Man, I couldn't imagine. And the fact that you were able to talk about this for so much tragedy, or tragic situations that you went through with this man is unbelievable that you're here now being able to have the strength to tell the story. And because we know people go through it every day and suffer in silence. Yeah. And they carry that on for years in silence.
And I did that. Yeah, I mean.
So when was the moment where you felt comfortable to kind of, I don't know if I'm saying the right thing, but maybe release from it or be able to express what happened?
Well, I spent most of I was homeless by the time I was 18. I got kicked out of the house, of course. I spent most of my 20s being a fucked up kid, working construction, living on people's couches, drinking, hating life, angry son of a bitch. And then, in my late 20s, I went to college and I did that for 6 years. And I got my master's degree at Carnegie Mellon.
Dope.
On my own.
Dope.
And
so what made you make that decision to go to college?
It was just, I think what, to your point is like, I think in my mid-20s, I said, I can't live like this anymore. And I knew I had PTSD, but I didn't want to deal with it therapeutically, but at least I understood I had to do something with my life. Yeah. And so, you know, I don't know, it's just resilience, I guess. And I just started doing it. And yeah, and then in my 30s, I worked professionally, and but I hated what I did, Omari. Like, I never liked what I did. I did it because I was looking for something stable, and I was doing what everybody told me I had to do, you know, in life. And but I was getting sicker and sicker. Like, the stress and anxiety was building up. And I moved out here for a job in Chicago in 2006, and by 2009. I couldn't work anymore because I was so sick every day. I was on the toilet for 4 hours a fucking day. And I was having all kinds of stomach problems, and it was horrible. And yeah, it was crazy. And then, well, I had to stop working, and my life was really falling apart at that point. Then at one point, I ended up in the emergency room because I had a microperforation in my colon. And they had to remove like a half a meter of my colon. I had sepsis. I almost died.
Wow.
All this physical stuff started happening to me, right? Yeah. So the crazy part is, to make a very long story short, 3 years ago, which would have been 2017, I started going to trauma therapy for my PTSD because I just knew I needed to do something. Mm-hmm. And guess what? 3 years later, my stomach's, 75% better.
Wow.
It was my PTSD was literally killing me physically. It was making me sick.
And I've heard that. And yeah. I've heard how much physical damage PTSD could do.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is.
Yeah. And yeah, because my PTSD was what they call the complex kind. It's usually something that's long-term trauma, abuse by a family member, happening over a long period of time. But there's exceptions to that. Like, if you're a woman, you can be raped once and have complex PTSD. It doesn't have to be multiple times. Same with combat, troops. But yeah, so there's all these other symptoms, and one of those things that can happen with complex PTSD is these physical health problems, and yeah, so it almost wrecked my life. But then I went to therapy, and I took an antidepressant, and I'm doing a lot better now, and so what I decided to do was in 2016. As self-therapy, I started this stupid website, and I call it Officer Downey. I tried to create this character, Officer Downey, as like a dumbass cop that I could almost abuse. I could abuse.
And I was going to ask that the Officer Downey come from your past trauma.
Yeah. That was a character I created that I could abuse, that I could control, that I could make fun of.
Wow.
And then after about 4 years of 4 years of doing that for free and wanting to work in the industry and having some really bad experiences in different interviews, and also including people like I had a dispensary try to steal all the learning materials on my website.
Okay.
I'd hire a lawyer to stop them, all this stuff, I've had all kinds of weird stuff happen to me. Cultivators contacting me, wanting me to lie about their products, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, wow. So I know you are a cannabis user, weed smoker, whatever we want to say, marijuana user. I love all the acronyms, anything. So did you use that, for your therapy or before? Or?
Yeah. I started using pot when I was about 14.
Okay.
And honest to God, if I didn't have marijuana throughout my childhood, my teens, I don't know what would have happened to me, because it was the only thing I could, and this is like the late 70s, early 80s, is the only thing that I could get my hands on that would help. That would help, Yeah.
I enjoy the plant. And
yeah,
it's not
nice.
the smoking part of it, but the medicinal part. My undergrad is in biology.
Oh.
So, I did a lot of studying with plants during those years. So kind of that science background that I have, I would say probably the last 7 years, I picked up on my weed usage more, and I feel much better as an athlete in these last 7 years than I did before, when I felt like I was in my prime.
I was just reading like some companies are starting. This is just starting, I think. some of the strains that are geared towards for working out, you know, like a line of strains that help people, athletes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting, you know.
Hey, let's take a little break,
break.
little break, and
Sure.
do a rapid fire round. So I'm gonna change it up a little bit than I did in the past. So you're gonna be the first person, Mark. You're
Oh
gonna be
no!
the first person that gets a little bit of change.
Now I've heard some of these before. You're gonna have to excuse me if I don't have black culture down completely.
I ain't gonna hold it against you, man.
I'm not a local either.
Huh?
I don't know much about Chicago.
You don't know much about. So some of the questions was gonna be about it, but it might. How long you been in Chicago?
Excuse me. I've been in Naperville for I've been out here in the burbs for like 14 years, but I've been in Chicago too much to tell you the truth. I mean, here my wife works in the city every day, but I haven't spent a lot of time there. I was sick so much of the time that I was out here. I couldn't even travel.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't even go to freaking work. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I mean, I have checked out some neighborhoods and stuff, but I haven't seen Chicago like I should.
Okay. There might be some questions. If you don't know the answer
right.
or have no response to it, then we can move on.
It'll be fun. It'll be funny nonetheless.
I try to throw like more touristy questions in.
Okay. We'll see what happens.
Hey, that's the fun in it, right?
Yeah.
Smoke and see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna start with just with weed. So this is gonna be a this or that question. All right, it's all rapid fire. All rapid fire. So I want your answer like right on the spot, man.
I'll do it as quick as I can.
All right. This is an easy one, I think. I don't know. Vape or smoke?
Or smoke.
Yeah, easy. All right. Indica or sativa?
Ooh, sativa.
That's what I got right now. Favorite strain?
Right now, my favorite strain is Bubba Fett.
Bubba Fett. I haven't heard of that one.
It's an indica, but it's real good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Edibles or tinctures?
Edibles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather smoke with Willie Nelson or Snoop?
Or Snoop? Oh, Snoop. Yeah. That's actually a tough one, but I'd say Snoop.
When I thought about it, I said, hey, you did spend time in the 70s. I was like, Willie Nelson might be the one.
Well, he would, yeah, but you know, I think he'd be too predictable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's your favorite activity to do when you're high?
Oh, I like listening to music or drawing.
Okay. Favorite munchie food?
Oh, man. I like tasty cakes. They don't sell them out here. It's a New Jersey, Philadelphia thing.
Oh, tasty cake. So I know about tasty cake. My roommate, I went to school in Virginia.
Oh, okay.
So my roommate was from New York. So we would go up there a lot. And that was the only time I ever had tasty cake. Wow.
I like tasty cakes. Well, what do you like? I'm just curious.
Man, chips.
Oh.
Chips.
Yeah.
I'm like addicted to chips, man.
Oh, okay.
I try any type of flavor. Except, you know, when they came out with those like cheeseburger chips and pizza chips.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Flavor chips. After a while, it started just getting weird. It just started getting weird to me.
It's like those Oreos. Those Oreos, you know, they come up with these effed up flavors in it.
Yeah. Fucking crazy flavors.
You don't even know why they're doing it anymore.
I was like, when they put a pumpkin pie Oreo, I said, I'm fucking done now.
Oh my God. I saw a chicken wing Oreo. Not kidding.
That's insane. Oreo need to stop, man. If you're listening to this, we're telling you to stop, please. All right. favorite movie in the last 5 years?
Oh, that's a tough one. It was that movie that actually it was that last movie that won the Oscar for best movie. It was that Korean flick. I can't think of the name of it now. It was like a one word title or something. Yeah, it was a Korean film. It won best film, I think. Academy Award. It was like it was subtitled too, but it was really, really good. I wish I could remember the name of it. I can't remember the title now. Sorry.
Okay.
Wish I could.
Okay.
It's that one.
All right, that one. All right, second then.
You know what, man? Just as a kind of a wild, weird movie was that movie Ma. You know that movie Ma?
I haven't seen it. I know what you're talking about.
Oh,
My
man.
wife saw it.
I thought it was wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and she told
one.
me that, she said that's a movie that I should sit down and see one day, and I still haven't. I keep forgetting about it.
That's crazy.
I'm glad you just said that. I'll probably do that tonight then.
I like that. That's a good one.
Okay. All right.
It's crazy.
It's conversations like this that me and you can have over a love of this plant, you know, and different avenues and different ways that this plant has helped us out through life. And it's all love. We all come from different backgrounds, different walks of life, different experiences. This plant is allowing us to come together and share those things. Right before the pandemic, we was able to get 3 community engagement events in the city because, you know, we got the law, we knew that it was coming, but we didn't know exactly what everything meant. So we wanted to kind of be that gap filler for those people that don't know what it means. And then maybe people that's interested in getting into the industry, we'll be able to make those connections between people.
I can't believe how this social equity program, honest to God, it reminds me of, I was just saying this to myself just last night. I was thinking about this. I was listening to the podcast you guys did last with that woman. I think is it Chase or Chaz?
Chaz, yeah.
Chaz. And after the podcast, in my head, it just popped in my head. I was like, that those social equity licenses in Illinois, it's just like those Jim Crow era voting tests.
Man,
it's the same shit, right? Here, let's make you jump through 1,000 fucking hoops, and you're not going to get it because guess what? You missed a period or a quote, or you didn't get this little thing. What the fuck? And I see, it's a backdoor for the MSOs too. Just horrible. Yeah. And I mean, it's illegal, but they got it all under control, I guess, right? That's locked down. And we get shitty weed for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you guys, I really hope you're successful. I mean, I hope you get that license that you need, whatever state it is, because,
thank you.
Come on, man. It's like, it's a once, new industries don't come along very often, you know what I mean? And this is a new industry. And God damn it if a bunch of white people are going to fucking control that again. It's about time that a new industry is not controlled like that. People need to, I don't have to tell you, I don't have to lecture about any of that shit, but you know what I'm saying? It's just bullshit. It's just total bullshit. And, it's amazing. You got to come up with all this money and you got to, connections and lawyers and everything else. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And it was like with this industry, like you put us in prisons over this thing for decades. Yeah. Like you legalize it. Let us like be able to reap some benefit from it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all we asking for. Like we know we're not asking for a total dominance over it. Just make it be equitable.
Equal. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes. That's it, man.
It's bullshit. Yeah. I mean, that's got to change. Somehow that's got to change,
Yeah. Yeah. I think it will. It's just, we
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, come on. You're being way too positive. I know, man. No, I know. I mean, hopefully, though, hey, it takes a long time, right?
It takes a long time. Yeah, it takes a long time.
Well, that one dude, I was listening to that one podcast, Sayun, the guy that owns Elevate. I mean, he's telling us, you know, he had to do the same thing. He had to, you know, work twice as hard as every other person to get what he needed, and he had to scrape by, like, you know.
Yeah.
And he said he miraculously did it. It's amazing. Well, Seyoon was, you know, that guy inspires me because, man, you know, my business right now it's very iffy, and you know, but I think you got to stick with it a little bit.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Say, Omar, I just want to say to people out there, you know, the reason why I shared my PTSD story tonight, so, you know, if I would have heard somebody say this when I was in my 20s, maybe it would have, you know, inspired me to get some help sooner if I could. I mean, I know it's difficult with the health insurance and everything, but, you know, maybe somebody said, hey, that reminds me of some of the stuff I'm going through right now, and, you know, or whatever. I just hope that, you know, don't be afraid to reach out for help, because it's very hard. For 25 years, I didn't reach out for help, and the reason why was, and everybody who's been abused can relate to this, you don't want to let those people, you don't want to say, those fucking people did that to me. You know, I don't want to let them get the back. I don't want to admit that they did that to me. You know, but you have to at some point, you know, like, look, in 2012, I had my neck operated on to fix the damage done by this abuser. I had to have, you know, cervical spinal fusion. But that was a trigger. Like, every day I woke up with pain in my neck. It was a trigger. It was a PTSD trigger. Like, that's that pain from what that guy did to me for all those years, you know? So there's people that go through a lot of that stuff, and it's best to, you know, if you can talk to somebody about it. I can't encourage people enough to do it.
Man, thank you. And that's going to bless somebody, man. Even if it's one person that listens to this. Yeah. And it changed their life from your experience and you expressing that, man. That's what it's worth. Yeah. You know, it's all worth it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah, thank you. Nice meeting you too. Really appreciate it, and thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, absolutely, man. Thank you. Thank you for being on That's a Doobie.
BetterHelp.com is an online professional counseling website full of resources for anyone who may be struggling with abuse or any of life's challenges. BetterHelp.com or any professionally trained counseling can be your first step to getting help. But if you or someone you love are in immediate danger or in a crisis, please call 911.